at this. Look at this. Who's this guy? I hear that if you come to this place, you get a free Nighthawk.
Oh, let me go get it.
What's going on, guys? If you're new here, my name's Roger. I own a company called QVO Tactical where we make holsters and gear and also film content for this channel. Today we are here at OMG Tacos, as you guys saw in the intro. Calvin's spot is amazing. Definitely come check it out if you're in the Dallas area. But we're also here with our buddy Jimmy Rodriguez, Jim's Goon Life. We've been talking about on his channel a minute ago. We were filming over at Vulcan, just kind of like a Q&A on like stuff that got us in this industry, and I wanted to kind of do a follow-up with Jimmy here at the restaurant and just ask him a couple questions, share some of this information with you guys, especially for you guys that are starting out and wanting to start creating content in whatever field you're in. So without further ado, let's get started.
Yeah, let's do it, man.
You got your drink, you're good?
I'm good, good.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere, guys.
Calvin poured me some Woodford, I think, so.
Hey-o. Okay, so my first question, you are now in your second year of filming content for YouTube consistently. Two biggest learnings for what you've been doing, like that you've, since going on YouTube, what are your two biggest learnings? Like, what are the two things like, man, this has really helped me out?
One would just be being consistent. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. So just being consistent with putting out content, right? Like content is king at the end of the day. So like the more you're putting out, the more consistently, the better. And so you got to find that balance of putting out more, but also being sustainable, right? Okay. So being able to keep that going. Because I think some guys come in and maybe they go a little bit too hot and they're trying to do like daily vlogging or things like that. Like kind of like
what I did.
Yeah. So, but that, I mean, there's a good side to that because you do learn a lot in that time. But at the same time, if you're wanting to do this long term, it's kind of tough to keep up that pace, right? So I tell people like start with 1 a week, and when you can keep that up for a couple months, go to 2 a week. If you can keep that up, go to 3 a week, and just keep that consistency rolling. But the more you can do, more consistently is always going to be better. The second thing I would say that really helped me was thick skin, right? You gotta have thick skin. Oh man. You got because you're in the.
I don't care who you are. Comment sections, yes.
It's wild.
That shit hurts,
dude. So people said some really messed up stuff to me, and I'm like, man. So if it's about me, I don't really care. But I had one guy. So for the first time, I blocked somebody from my channel. I had somebody who said something about my kid, and I was like,
oh, I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, who does that?
Yeah, I'm like, it's cool. I enjoy my time with my son, and so like, I'm always trying to incorporate him in stuff I'm doing. Just because, like, in the unique position that we're in, I get the opportunity to bring my son into that, so I want him to be a part of that. So, like, on one side, like, people on my channel get to see him grow up. On the other side, when he looks back, he'll be able to go back and see himself grow up as a part of what Dad was doing. So, for me, it's really special in that. So, like, when somebody said something, I was like, no, you're done. But I will say this, so, like, I was a pastor for 5 years. I was a head pastor for 5 years. And you gotta have thick skin as a pastor. You deal with a lot of stuff. People say some outlandish stuff. But I would say YouTube is kind of right along those lines of you've got to have thick skin and be willing to listen to criticism, because there's probably some truth in some criticism that people say. Some people say stuff that's just to be hurtful.
Yeah, I've been learning to find the criticism in whatever there is.
Yeah, exactly. So take that, take it with a grain of salt. Maybe there's something in there you can learn from. But on the flip side, have thick skin because man, people are gonna say something. People are gonna say, and hey, the internet doesn't forget because people are watching this.
Every time I think like, and I'm like, how did somebody, like, how is that the thought that came across their mind to type into the world?
Oh, dude, I know. I got two that come to mind that I can think of that I'm like, man. But I would say one video that I got a lot of criticism and hate for was my Vortex UH1 video. A lot of people didn't like that, and they were very upset about some of the things I said in there. And I even had people tell me like, you should take this video down. And I refuse to because one, it's part of my growing process, but two, I stand by what I said in there. And so it's like one of those things, like if you're honest, and I think you hit on this, being honest and authentic about what you're doing, what you're saying, goes a long way. And so for me, I was being honest about my experience. I was being honest about my feelings in that, and I don't regret anything I said in there. And Vortex were super nice in there. I still use some of their stuff. I work with them on other stuff, but that particular product I just wasn't crazy. But it upset a lot of people. So it is what it is. But yeah, just thick skin, man. Thick skin.
Yeah, see, like that's something new for me. I'm in like my 4th year, and like I never thought the comments would bug me, but yeah, man, some of them it's just like. And then I had to like step back and just realize like, well, a couple things. A lot of people don't do. They talk. Nobody's like the man in the arena thing. That's been huge for me. But the other thing is like very few people know me personally. I have so many people like, oh, Roger's my boy, and it's like, you don't even know my last name.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So it's funny because I had this conversation with my wife. It's like, you know, when you're in a close relationship with people, those are the people that know you intimately, you know, like as close friends or, you know, like in a relationship. Those are the people, like, you value what they say more. So like, if somebody were to say something like just kind of off the wall, probably wouldn't bother me. If my wife said that,
yeah,
I'd be like, okay, okay, hold on.
Like if I called you a big fat pink elephant, like, wait, what?
Yeah.
But then if somebody was like to tell me that, but then if somebody's like, hey Roger, sometimes you're like really cocky and arrogant, I was
yeah.
Like if I see myself getting defensive, I'm like, ah.
Yeah.
So no, I definitely get what you're saying with that.
Yeah.
It's huge. And
but it's kind of cool.
There's always another one. Like I'll put out some small fire with like a comment or a bad customer review, and then I realize like I can't even tell you the last guy that said something outlandish on my channel that I was like, what the hell? I don't remember what it was, because there's always going to be another one. There's like, oh, I moved on from, there's been like 50 more since that last one. So it's like.
Yeah, and I try, so it's like, there's times, so I'll be honest, there's times where like it's a little discouraging and it makes you not want to look at the comments or respond.
I did all this hard work for this free content that you're just shitting on.
Yeah, so there's those moments, but then there's those guys that like light bulbs go off, or they find it really helpful, or they're genuinely
there's
like,
that one comment that's like, hey man, I normally don't comment, but I had to. I really appreciate like that you took the time to explain this and do this, and then it was really like somebody that like got it, that watched the video, that, because my thing is this, like, I'm appreciative of the fact that people take the time to watch one of the videos.
Exactly.
And then they take the time to leave some kind words on top of that. It's like, yo, in my book, you're a decent human being.
Yeah. If it helps one person, I'm good. So. Yeah. So I just got to keep perspective.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so freelance content creator, which in my opinion, a lot of people are going to hear that and go, that's the dream job. And honestly,
it's somebody's dream.
I mean, it's just, it can take you to endless places. Like when I was a police officer, I thought it was such a cool job because there were so many things, there was so much freedom. Like you can go and work patrol, obviously what you start, but there's so many, like you'll deal with something different every day. But then the detective bureaus, the specialized units, the gang unit, the SWAT, you know, special investigations, all that kind of like awesome stuff. You know, I never thought I would be into plainclothes narcotics. Oh my God, I did a TDY and got hooked on like playing like, you know, a piece of crab walk on the strip while drunk, and I was like, oh my God, this is so much fun. Yeah. Never thought I'd be into that, but that to me is like, they always say when you get into an academy, like, this is your ticket to the greatest show in the world.
Yeah.
The greatest show on earth, that's what they always sell it. But being a freelance content creator, what's the one thing that you wish you would have known that would have like pushed you like further, sooner, or?
Man, so like the one thing that I always tell people, like content creators, and I think this would have helped me earlier on in my career. As you get more into the professional side, there's other stuff I would say, but very early on, I would say that creators need to be comfortable in their own skin. And what I mean by that is that each one of us has a unique perspective on the world, right? Like I will never see the world the way you see it. You will never see the world the way I see it. The same thing applies to content creation. In the way that I take photos, it's not the same way you take photos. The way that I take videos is not the same way you do. I don't have to try to be somebody else. I just have to find my own identity in content creation and go that route. Because I think from what I've seen from other creators is they try to be somebody else and try to take that person's job by maybe undercutting them or saying, hey, I can do what they're doing, instead of saying, hey, here's who I am, here's my content, here's the way that I view this, and making their own unique creative path and going that route. That's where I see a lot of guys struggle because they're too busy trying to be somebody else. Like, I see a lot of YouTubers who try to be Peter McKinnon, and I'm like, bro, you're not, there's only one Peter McKinnon.
Bro, my first 2 vlogs are like 30-something minutes long, and it's just straight Casey Neistat knockoffs that are just like, I remember I sent it to a friend of mine, and she was just like, can I have that 30 minutes of my life back? And that shit crushed me.
Yeah. So
and I was just like, I was so proud of what I made.
Yeah.
But literally realized like, it's not me. It's somebody else, and that's why nobody liked it.
Yeah. So that's you know, that's essentially what happens in our content creation as a freelancer. If you're working for brands, a brand is hiring you because of your unique view, right? Because nobody else has that, has that eye, has that way of editing.
They want you to show the world how you see their product.
They don't want you to copy somebody else, otherwise they go hire them. They want you to make you. So I would say that's the biggest thing, is finding who you are and being comfortable in your own skin and just doing that. Okay. And so like if you look at like my Instagram, like my flat lays are different than everybody else. And it's not that I like set out to make different flat lays. That's just how I look at guns. That's just how I look at as a whole. That's the way that I view it. And
I literally look at your table like that's an ecosystem.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what it is for me.
That's the point is the gun, and then all of the surrounding stuff.
That's exactly what it is, and that's my own thing. Like you look at Gun DMC, I love his flat lays, but that's his own. That's his own thing, right? And you look at your photos, like even now with like is it like the lava rocks? Yeah, like that's its own thing, right? It's your own look. And I see too many people trying to copy what somebody else does.
That's a straight copy. I saw it on TikTok. Yeah. I was like, yo, this is dope. I want to try it. And then I liked it so much.
But you know, there's, you know, we all.
Yeah. Nobody's doing it with like gun.
Yeah. There's nothing new under the sun, right? Yeah. We're all pulling from other inspiration. So, but like my inspiration, a lot of it comes from street art, street photography. I love bright, vibrant colors and contrast because I grew up in the city. So I love like harsh contrast, and that's why you see my photos. I have these really punchy photos, and that's my style. If you, I'll tell you. So the first time I went to Arizona, into Vegas, I remember we're driving into Scottsdale, and I'm watching the sunset on the mountains. And I remember looking at the pink and like purples in the sky and the orange, and looking in the shadows and how it has like this bluish hue. And I go, oh my God, it makes sense why people in the desert edit the way they do with these really cold shadows and these really warm highlights, and then desaturated. I'm like, this is what it looks like here. I'm like, you know, you're a product of your environment. So for me, I don't edit that way. I have very dark.
It's funny you say that because I think about like all the times when I would go up to Washington and film, and the content coming out of there, just how it's got that like that 80s black fade on all this stuff. Yeah. And when you go there, it's like it's so foggy.
This is what it looks like.
That's what it looks like. Yeah.
So you're replicating what you see, and so it's just a product. So like as you travel more places,
that's interesting.
As you have more like input into your creative side, your style will change and develop over time, but you find what is more in tune with you as a person. So like for me, I've always been a city person. I love New York, aside from the whole like anti-gun and like crime thing, but like I love the cities. So like New York, Dallas, Austin, Chicago, like those are my places. So like you'll always see like very punchy, crushed shadows in my photos, and you see that in my flat lays too. Yep. So.
All right, we got 2 more questions, guys. All right.
Sorry, that was a long-winded answer.
It's all good. If you made it this far in the video, thank you for continuing to watch. Like,
make sure you hit that like and subscribe. Karate chop that bell. Leave a comment down below. It helps. If you're not subscribed, what are you even doing with your life? All right.
This video is definitely going to be for like the solid crew of people that like follow the QVO content because you've been here since the beginning, and that's how you know like Jimmy, or vice versa. You follow Jimmy stuff, that's how you know us.
Yep. Like
for you guys out there that are watching that this video is for you guys. It's not going to be for the person looking up to see like, hey, how the 6 Spectre comp do against the Parker Mountain machines. That's not this video.
Yeah.
But speaking of guns, we get to shoot a lot of cool stuff because of the jobs. Out of all of the awesome stuff that we have shot, not those. What have you been seeing, or like what's that thing? Man, I wish I had that in your collection, or got to shoot on the range. Like, what's the thing? Like, man, like you go to the range a lot. Like, Talon told me this a long time ago. It's like it's very hard for him to get excited about going to the range because he shot so much.
Yeah.
Me, I'm just a weirdo. I love shooting. Like I'm literally shooting like 4,000 to 6,000 rounds a month right now. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Ventura Munitions, and Ultimate Ammunition. But I still have like for me. MP7, I want to own one, and they're never gonna make a semi-auto one, so obviously I'm not gonna get an SOT just to have it. But like that's the gun, like man, I want to have that.
Yeah. Okay. Does it have to be 1?
2. Pick 2.
Oh, that's so tough. All right, I'm gonna give you a few. I'm gonna give more than 2. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna do 2 per category. So we're gonna go MP5 and Uzi, and then we're gonna go. I want to shoot a Sandhawk. Or the Sand Viper. I want to shoot a Sand Viper.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, both obviously, but so I got a real quick segue. When I talked about the 3 things I liked most about that gun, people were like, oh, you like because it's got carbide grips. Excuse me. It's things that Terran did differently to that gun. Nobody's got a deep optic cut like that.
Yeah.
Like the SRO is touching the slide.
Yeah.
And literally, your point of aim and point of impact is the same from 0 to 50. Nobody's doing that. And it's like, it's something so simple, but nobody does it.
Yeah, yeah. So actually, quick segue, Vulcan Machine Works, they can get it real low.
They can get that low.
So if you look at my acro sits really deep, and that's one of the things that I like about it, is that it is so low. But no, so yeah, obviously, Sand Viper is one that I would love to shoot. Sandhawk is one that I would love to have.
Right.
Trying to think what else outside of that. Another gun that's up on like my want is one of Joe from Bruiser Industries. They have the Bruiser 13.9. I really want one of those, just because.
Who makes that?
Lone Star they're out in Fort Worth. So they make that, but that gun, as far as accuracy goes, it's just phenomenal. Just a great gun to shoot.
My Noveske Space Invader is the most accurate thing I've ever shot, and after your video, I'm like, I want like a...
Bro, that 12.5, that's my dream gun. I love that.
I want to get like a 14.5 pin and welded, like just to have as like an LPVO gun.
Yeah, so hopefully, I know Big Tex has already sent the shipping notification, but I have a 110 to put on my 14.5.
Nice.
So I'll be taking that out and see how that does. But so I've got guns that I love, that are like I'm very passionate about. Noveske, I would say probably a Space Invader and Green Life Green.
It's my favorite.
Space Invader Green Life Green is what I would.
I have a black one that I got for such a good deal.
Yeah, oh, dude.
So like, for all of you guys watching, when Noveske does those drops, I'm that dude that's like 6 a.m. on the website.
He's clicking the refresh.
Yeah, and Mike from Ventura Munitions, my good buddy, if you're watching this, he got a baby Space Invader, and I didn't. And I told him about the drop, and he got the gun, and I didn't.
Roger and your buddy from Ventura are the two that are like cart swiping you. So you're in there trying to put in your. They're like, done, got it.
I didn't. I was so bummed. So bummed.
Yeah, that's goals. I'd like to have one of those. I would honestly like to have another one of my 12.5s. Like I have a duplicate of that, but in 12.5 mid. I mean, I talked about it in the video, but I would love to have.
I have a 12.5. We're doing the Sage K9 Roscoe setup.
I want to know how that does. I want to know how that does.
So
I'm very intrigued by that. That and I will say the Veil Solutions. Their gun they did with Sons of Liberty.
Okay.
I'm interested in that for sure.
Cool.
It's just a great looking gun, and he's such a good shooter, and I know what he's about and like what he likes in guns. So I'm very intrigued to take that gun and then go run it.
Nice.
So
cool. Last question. So being in Texas, if for what you do, not where you want to live, but for what you do, if you weren't living here, where would you want to live for what you do?
It'd be Scottsdale or Vegas.
Hey-o.
Yeah. Yeah, so and mainly because one of location, but two for scenery. So like I like both of them are. I mean, for me they're relatively close, but relatively close to Joshua Tree, to Utah, going up to the Pacific Northwest, and those are just some of the most scenic places for photos. And again, going back to what I said earlier about the editing style, it's just like that. If I was there, it would shape how I edit differently. Sure. I would look at things differently. I would produce things probably a little bit differently. But just the views. I mean, here. I mean, you guys can't see, but it's just flat. I mean, it's just plains. You can see from miles, which is great to a degree, but there's something different about being in the mountains.
It's cool though. After this conversation, I feel like I'm going to be looking at some photos. I'm like, I bet you that was like, I bet you like wherever this guy was taking this photo was in this part of the country.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So you as I've traveled more, even outside of the States, as I've traveled to like South and Central America, or even the Middle East, or in Europe. You see how different regions or different areas edit differently, or how they view the world differently. Not just from like a life perspective, but just in creativity. So yeah, I would say probably Vegas or Scottsdale. I mean, those two places, both beautiful, vibrant nightlife, vibrant people to be around, very, for lack of a better term, Gucci culture. I mean, people in Vegas typically either have money or spend a lot of money. Same thing in Scottsdale, and there's because of that, there are some really cool and beautiful things are done really well there. Obviously QVO Tactical is out of Vegas, so things are done very, very well there. But it is how it is. In order to compete when you're in these big metropolitan areas, you have to do things well. So I would still want to create in an area that is somewhat on the verge of mountains and outdoor, but still in that metropolitan city-ish area, because you still have to compete in those big areas. That's what I loved about New York. Is like when you go to New York, everybody is trying to make it. Everybody has to grind and work their butts off to be there. And so like if you take that same New York grind mindset and you apply it anywhere, you can survive anywhere. Like literally, if you can survive in New York, you can survive anywhere.
Dude, the whole thing that started QVO for me was the saying, "Work like nobody else." So in a couple of years, you can work like nobody else.
Yes, exactly. And that's it.
I took 8 months of working 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. 7 days a week. And just sucked it up.
So Gary Vee says this, and you might have to edit this later. But Gary Vee says he says sometimes you got to eat shit for a while.
Yeah.
Right. So like, it just eat shit for a few years so that you can enjoy the fruits of that. And it's like, look, just delay your gratification a few years, just so you can grind 7 days a week, 12, 14, 16-hour days, so that you can have that at the end of that and do what you want to do.
100%.
And that's, I mean, it really is. But yeah, so those places, because they have the view, but also that competition that makes you want to continue to be better. Because I feel like if you go to somewhere where you're like just out in the middle of nowhere, there's nobody around you, you don't have that same, I'm a very competitive person, so you don't have that same motivation to push you to want to continue to be better.
Yeah, I get energy from being around people.
Yeah.
So
I think it's how we're designed as humans. You know, we're designed for community.
All right, guys, that's gonna finish it up. I'm gonna hop back in the kitchen real quick though and take a look at what Calvin's got back there. Jimmy, dude, thank you. I appreciate you on short notice coming out to hang out at Vulcan and come down to eat some tacos with us. Guys, if you like the video, give us a thumbs up down below. We do appreciate that. If you're new here, consider subscribing because we post new videos every week. Definitely check out Jimmy's channel. It'll be linked down below. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one.